When speaking about San Quentin, I've tried to keep my timeline as precise as possible. This can be difficult to do. These events, after all, occurred 20 years ago. And it's not like I was riding around taking notes at the time. That seems like a really good way to get yourself killed. So I'm operating just out of what I can recall, by and large. Thankfully, there are some milestones. There are events which I know when they happened, and because of that I can infer when other things did happen. One such event is my trip to the Medical Processing Center at San Quentin. You see, every Thursday, the administration takes every new inmate that arrived at the prison and does a complete medical workup on them to determine if they have any pre-existing conditions the administration needs to be aware of. This is a good idea, but they elect to do all of the workups on a single day, Thursday, so it can be pretty crowded. This means that the morning, whenever I lost focus staring at the mural and accidentally ate a little bit too much of the Hispanic gentleman's jalapeno, it means that it was the 18th of July, Thursday. And it means that while I was watching this mural, I was probably also paying attention to a ducat that I had in my pocket. You see, a ducat is something that you only see in prison. It's basically a glorified hall pass. It's a piece of paper that is printed out by the administration, which says your name, your inmate number, and what part of the prison they want you transported to, and when. So my ducat probably said something like Channel T59851, Medical Wing for initial evaluation, 1100, that's 11 a.m. and the date. Whenever I presented this to an officer, it was his job to call for somebody to escort me to the medical wing of the prison. I probably had enough time after breakfast to go back to the cell, take a quick bird bath, work out, and then it was 11 o'clock and off to medical I went. The 4 days that I had been in San Quentin, there were a lot of adjectives that I would have used to describe them because it was a terrifying place. It was a dead serious place. But I also might have called it polite, quiet, calm. You see, most high security inmates, real killers, or at least guys that spend time around real killers, they are quiet and calm and polite. Because if you spend a lot of time around real killers and you're not quiet, calm, and polite, you're loud and erratic and rude, you're probably going to have a real low life expectancy. The medical wing at San Quentin was chaos. I was unprepared for it. The officer walked me to the door, he took off the restraints they had on me, and he just said, "Here's your medical file. Go find the right doctors, get it filled out, and I'm going to be back here at 3 p.m. Meet me here then." And I was off to the circus is what it felt like. There was 100 inmates milling around in this area with almost no staff supervision, whereas everywhere else I had been, things were dead serious. One thing that stands out as an example of why it's difficult to do a complete medical workup on over 100 inmates in just such a short period of time with not enough medical staff is the memory of trying to have my teeth checked. I found the line that I was supposed to stand in to have my teeth checked, and it was the next to last thing that I had to do that day. There were a bunch of other people who were doing the same thing. The teeth checking was one of the last tests that they were having done because they figured it would take a long time. To the credit of the dentist, he was knocking these things out. I think it took him about 5 minutes to do a complete dental workup on an inmate. And as we're slowly shuffling forward in line, the officer announces that they're running out of time. So anybody who hasn't had a certain test done, step over to the right. Don't even get out of line, just step over. And the doctor then immediately started going down this line and feeling people's testicles to make sure if they had descended. There were about a dozen inmates that all had to wait and in full view of everybody have each testicle individually squeezed. I have no idea what the medical diagnosis is that this provides, but I know that it was mortifying for everybody involved. I finally made it to the front of the line and took the moment to not be a cog in a machine and said to the dentist, "Hey doc, thanks for helping out my teeth." He looked confused. For 2 seconds he just blanked, and then he said, "Do you know, you're the first guy that said a word to me in about an hour. I've just been doing teeth all day." It's that assembly line mentality, the idea that you just take a step forward and act like a cog in the machine. And I will tell you that if I thought that having my testicles grabbed by a complete stranger in full view of everybody in a line to get my teeth examined was a little weird and mortifying, imagine how I felt whenever I lay back in the dental chair and realized that I had a perfect look at the next guy in line who was having his testicles examined. That's a weird thing to watch while you're having somebody smack your teeth to see if they're in good condition. Of course, I eventually finished the day at the medical wing and gave the cop the paperwork he wanted and went back to my cell. He locked me in, pulled the bar block, and it was quiet and calm, and I felt myself just decompress because I was not ready for all that noise, all that action. There was too much going on, and now I was back in my safe, quiet cell where I felt at home. And that was the moment that I first started to become institutionalized. I felt it. I heard myself say, "My nice, safe, quiet cell." It's a long path. There are a lot of steps to really becoming institutionalized, but that day was the first step, the first time that they really convinced me that a little cell, a little cage might be where I belonged, where I was safe.